Good morning, Suprabhat, Namaskar, Vanakkam, Kem Cho, Kasakai, etc. To all of you. I welcome you all in our today's session in which we will be discussing the income under the hat salary. So, as I have told you in the last session, that this is your first head of income in which you will see the provisions are getting little complicated, you can say. And of course, this is the main topic also in respect of your income tax provisions. And this is completely, we can say, numerical topic, even including some theoretical concept, but that is also, I believe, going to be asked in the examination in a numerical way. So this is income under the hat salary, and I believe that you must have heard about the term salary because, of course, your parents, your brother, sister, relative must be earning salary from any job. So how that income is going to be calculated? When someone told you that I am receiving salary of 50,000 rupees per month or 1 lakh rupees per month, it's not that simple. Its salary is having technically four kinds of component: basic salary, certain allowances, certain perquisites, and there could be compensation, which is generally we earn at the time of retirement. But basic three components, what we regularly receive from our employer is salary, is allowances, including perquisites. What are the meaning of basic salary, advanced salary, arrear of salary? What are allowances and what are perquisite and what are compensation? That all topic we are going to be discussed in our session. So we have 5 lectures in respect of salary topic, and of course for salary kind of gigantic topic, there must be at least 5 top lectures in which we are going to discuss one by one each and everything. So I believe that you all are studying hard to achieve the goal of your life to become a chartered accountant as soon as possible. So before starting the class, okay, good morning, Akhila, good morning, Mehak. And as usual, we are going to share our thought for the day for today's class. And it's a very realistic thought. And that is going to be the part of your life. And it says, we do not need to tell everyone about our struggle. We don't need to tell everyone about our struggle. The CA prefix says everything. So when you will be a CA, when your name will be CA so and so, the prefix CA will explain each and everything. That how much effort you have put in to get this CA prefix before your name. You need not to tell anyone that how much sacrifices we have done, how much struggle we have going through, the tension, the pressure, the knowledge, whatever it is. This 2 words, CA, explain each and everything. Let me tell you a very practical example. If you are in a family function or anywhere, and suppose you and your cousins and your friends are there, and some relative comes to you and asks to your cousin what you are doing, and suppose he or she is doing BCom or BBA. So when they will say I am doing BA or BCom, the reaction would be okay from that relative. And when they will ask you what you are doing, and if you say I am in CA intermediate or I am in CA final or I am doing CA only, the reaction would be O. So there's a difference between okay and O. Okay is okay. The certain things everybody is doing, but O means you are doing something different, something more valuable. You can see that their expression will tell you that even you are in this journey of becoming a CA, they identify you are different. They understand your struggle, etc. So that was thought for the day, students. Moving on to the provisions directly now. This is our topic. The notes have been uploaded on the portal. I believe you must have downloaded the notes. And it says income under the hat salary. A quotation also there. Confidence may not bring success, but it gives the power to face any challenge. Now, income under the hat salary, as I have told you, this is our first head of income in which we will understand how income is going to be taxed and when any income is going to be taxed under the hat salary. Why it's not house property income? Why it is not called business income? why it is not capital gain or why it is not income from other sources. Let me give you a trailer that what we are going to discuss in this chapter one by one. So this is our topic, income under the head salary. And you can see there are technically four major components. The first one is A part, in which we will discuss basic salary. What is the meaning of basic salary? Then what is the meaning of advanced salary? Then the meaning of arrear of salary. Okay, these are three kinds of salaries. Either it's basic salary, advanced salary, arrear of salary, or all of them, including bonus and commission. If you are getting any incentive in the form of bonus or commission, that is also going to be the part of this part A. Now, B is for allowances. And allowances main character is these are in monetary form always. You will do some expenditure and your employer will give you the monetary payment. These are not reimbursement. They will provide you a certain amount of money, and out of that money you can do that expenditure, whether you save all that money, where you partially use that money for that expenditure, or you fully use that money for expenditure. What it exactly means, how it works, that we will discuss in detail when we will go through in this topic of allowances. Allowances are also in three categories. There are certain allowances. Those are taxable for both regime. We have two regime, optional tax regime and default tax regime. So the provision for basic salary, advanced salary, arrear of salary is same for both regime. But in case of allowances, there are certain allowances, those are taxable under both regime. Then there are certain allowances, those are fully taxable under default tax regime, but partially exempt under optional tax. What are those allowances that we are going to discuss in detail later? And there are certain allowances, those are fully exempt under optional tax regime. So there are certain, those are taxable under both. There are certain taxable under default tax regime, but partly exempted under optional tax regime as per the provisions. And there are certain, those are fully exempt under optional tax regime. The third concept is perquisites. Perquisites means facilities, reimbursement, benefit, amenities, etc. In this category, you won't get the money, you will get the facility, the perquisite, the benefit, the amenities. These are always non-monetary. It could be in the form of reimbursement also. What it is, we will discuss in detail. And then the last component could be compensations or compensation. So compensations are like those kind of payment we generally receive at the time of retirement. These are generally one-time payment, what we receive at the time of retirement, like gratuity, pension, leave encashment, retrenchment benefit, etc., etc. So this is the trailer, you can say, in which I show you that what kind of topic, what are the components for calculation of income under the head salary. And this is the actually everything what we will discuss in detail one by one in our notes. Okay. But before starting from basic salary, etc., let me tell you what is the meaning of salary. Very important thing is to understand when we will call any payment that is going to be taxed under the head salary. So what is the meaning of salary? So the concept say in case of every payment, there would be always a payer and there would be always a pay. When there is a payment, then there would be a payer and pay. So when this payment would be recognized as income under the head salary of pay. So when we will recognize this income or this payment under the head salary in the hands of pay. So the concept say if there is a relationship of employer and employee. So if there is a relationship of employer and employee between payer and payee. So if payer and payee connected and the relationship is employer and employee, then any payment will be treated as salary in the hands of payee. Now the question must be there, what is the meaning of employer and employee? So it says, if the employer is master, the characteristics of this relation is employer should be master and the employee should be treated as servant. So if the relationship of master and servant is there, then we call it a relationship of employer and employee. So when we think about the term servant, we think we are talking about like maid, driver, those are working in our house as a housekeeper. So that is not the correct interpretation of this word. Servant means who serve for you. So that could be a driver, that could be a maid, that could be a servant, that could be a employee in any MNC. So the meaning of serve means you need to obey someone's order. You need to perform certain duties which has been assigned to you by your master. So what is the main ingredient of this relationship is master is going to order and servants need to obey. So in any organization, when your responsibilities has been defined, that what is your work, like in a bank, there is a cashier. So whose work has been defined that you have to deal with cash payment and receipt. There would be a person who is working as a credit manager. There would be a person who is working as a marketing manager. So duties has been assigned. There is a orders, or you can say the type of duties which has been assigned to that person. And if you have to follow those order in relation to that duty, that would be called a relationship of master and servant. So that kind of relation falls under employer-employee relationship. And if you are getting any payment from this relationship, that would be treated as salary under the head of income under that salary in payee's hand. So when in any relationship, this order and obey effectively works. So that is our employer-employee relationship. For example, if I'll ask you, that generally when we got ill, we went to a doctor and we pay, suppose 1000 rupees to doctor. This is patient, this is doctor. So we paid 1000 rupees to doctor and we call it salary. That we have paid 1000 rupees salary to doctor. So does this relationship fulfill the master and servant relationship? Or is there we are the payer and doctor is payee? So does this relationship is a relationship of order and obey? That we generally go to doctor and we order him something to do or not? So it's very simple to find out if there is order and obey relationship. That would be salary. Else it would not be salary. It could be anything else, but not salary. So Akela is saying no. Vishakha is saying no. Very good. Of course, there is no relationship of master and servant, order and obey. We discuss our problem with the doctor. We consult our problem with the doctor and they provide us the solution or advice or the consultancy. So that's why, because he is not bound by us, we went to him, we will tell him what is the issue with us, what we are feeling, and he will provide the solution or the advice or consultancy. So that's why we call it consultancy fees, not salary. Even if you will call it salary, it would not be included in his head of income as salary because there is no relationship of order and obey exist. So that piece goes in his business income or profession income, not under salary. Why? Because relationship of order and obey does not exist. Suppose a chartered accountant who is working in a company, suppose a Reliance company, and a certain kind of work has been assigned to that chartered accountant, and he is getting 1 lakh rupees per month for it. So that is a kind of relation in which duties has been assigned. So that is going to be treated as salary income in the hands of that chartered accountant. Now I am also a CA and I am in practice. Now suppose my client comes to me and he asks me to file his income tax return or audit work, etc. And he pays me 1 lakh rupees for that audit or etc. work. So would it fall under salary head? Is it a relationship between my client and me? Does fall in order or obey? Or it is a kind of a relationship in which he will tell me that these are the things I need to do, and I will decide how I am going to perform my duties. I will give him consultancy. So there is no foundation upon me. So that is also going to be income under the head business or profession, not under salary head. Now let me give you a very interesting and simple example so everything would be clear. Suppose X, Y, Z, it's a partnership firm. Suppose X, Y, Z is a partnership firm, and this partnership firm pay salary to partners. This term you must have been gone through in accounts, etc. Salary to partners. Partners are X, Y, Z. So this firm is paying salary to partners. So would it fall in the definition of salary in the hands of X, Y, Z or not? Think and then decide and then give your replies. So if a partnership firm pay salary to its partners, even monthly, suppose they are paying salary 20,000 rupees per month to each partner, does it fall income under the head salary in the hands of X, Y, Z? And let me tell you, just check this out whether the relationship of order and obey exists or not. If somebody is there to order X, Y, and Z, and if they need to obey it, that would be salary, else not. So what do you think, students? Whether it's a salary or not? Sridhar is saying no. Akila is saying no. It's not under the head of salary. Kamal is saying no. Very good. Mac also saying no. Anjum, correct. Absolutely right. Isha, no. Very good. So the correct answer is, of course, it is not salary because there is no one to order it. Because they are the owner of that partnership firm. So who will order? There should be a natural person to order. XYZ is not a natural person. And there must be someone natural person who is going to order you for doing something. And they are the owner. XYZ, the owner of this partnership firm. So there is no one to order them. They will decide what is for the benefit of partnership firm, majority or etc. So this is not going to be included under the head salary. This is going to be included under the head of PGBP, business head of X, Y, and Z, because that is technically indirectly a business income, what they are fetching from their partnership firm. Understood? So now let's discuss this point with the help of notes. So meaning and applicability. And you will see they will exactly going to tell you the same thing. Every payment. So they say every payment made by employer to his employee for service render would be chargeable to tax under the head salary. Before an income become chargeable under the head salary, it's vital that there should exist a relationship of employer-employee. In other words, no income will be included in the head salary if there is no relation of master and servant exist. In other words, there should be a relationship in which the payer gives the instruction or order and the other will need to obey that order. Suppose we have employed a cook in our home. So there's a cook in our home. So if I'll ask them that you need to make this dish today, what he will do? He will make that dish. He will not make anything whatever he likes because he needs to obey our order. So that should be a relationship of instruction and other need to obey it. Clear? There are examples. So you can go through those examples and you will understand that how it relationship work. You will see that there's a partnership from example also given over here. Some clarifications are there that there is no difference between a full-time or part-time employment. Whether you are earning any payment from part-time or full-time, that is going to be taxed under the head of salary. Foregoing of salary, again, this is for your homework. A term we have discussed in basic concept, and there were technically two terms. That was application of income versus diversion of income. And we have discussed with the help of example also. So foregoing of salary is a kind of application of income. Suppose you earn salary and then you are going to donate that salary to someone else. So that is an application of income. So foregoing is application of income. So please read this provision for yourself. Example has been given. And please, you can recall the provision of application of income. So you will understand what exactly they are trying to explain you. So foregoing means after receiving, give your salary to someone else. So that does not make a difference. Once you earned any income that going to be taxed in your hand, whether you apply it for some charitable purpose later on or anywhere else. So the example has been given in detail. You can go through it. Surrender of salary, that's a different term. And technically this fall under diversion of income. So if something is diversion of income, you need not to pay tax. Now the concept is very simple. If an employee surrender his salary to the central government. So if you surrender your salary to the central government under the specific act, under section 2 of the Voluntarily Surrender of Salary Exemption from Taxation Act 1961. So government says, suppose your salary is 2 lakh rupees per month and you have decided to pay that salary of 3 months. 2 lakh rupees per month. So that means in aggregate it's 6 lakh rupees. So suppose you have decided to pay these 6 lakh rupees to the central government as a surrender under this act, then you need not to pay tax on that 6 lakh rupees. Of course, you have paid full amount to the government. So why government will ask you to pay extra tax? Because you have paid full salary to the government. So suppose your salary is 2 lakh rupees per month. So out of 12 months salary, you have decided to surrender 3 months salary to the government. So now the taxable salary would be only for 9 months salary. And the 3 months salary, whatever you have paid to the government, there would be no tax on that salary. Okay. Salary paid tax-free. Again, this is an interesting fact. Suppose Mr. A is an employee. He is working in an organization, suppose XYZ Limited. The yearly salary what XYZ pay to Mr. A net after all deduction, etc. Suppose the computed salary is 10 lakh rupees. Mr. is under optional tax regime. So in general, if we calculate tax on this 10 lakh rupees of salary, the tax would come 1,12,500 except cess, etc. So we are just taking this tax approximately. So approximately Mr. A needs to pay 1,12,500 rupees by himself on this 10 lakh rupees of salary. Now suppose what happened, the employer decided, company decided, do not take tension, the burden of tax we will pay. This burden of tax has been taken by X Limited and X Limited said, now we will pay 1,12,500 rupees tax on your 10 lakh by the employer. So if this is the case where salary tax is going to be, the burden of salary of tax is going to be whereby the employer. So the provision says, now this 1,12,500 which is paid by employer on your behalf, that is also going to be the part of your salary package. So now we will assume your salary 11,12,500. So if any tax has been paid by your employer, that tax amount is going to be the part of your salary. And what will happen? Your tax will slightly increase because now you need to pay tax on 11,12,500. So now the tax will not be 1,12,500. It will slightly above than that. So the excess need to be paid by the employee himself. So thus, in other words, it means that the employer bears the burden of tax on the salary of employee. In such case, the income from salary in the hands of employee will consist his salary and the amount of tax paid by the employer. So that amount is going to be the part of employee salary automatically. But there is a very interesting exception. However, as per section 1010C, the income tax paid by the employer, but the tax, if the burden of tax is going to be bear by the employer on non-monetary perquisites. Now, what is non-monetary perquisite, etc., we will discuss in detail. But if the burden of tax has been taken by the employer on non-monetary tax perquisite, not upon your whole salary. Suppose out of this 10 lakh salary, 1 lakh is non-monetary perquisite. Non-monetary perquisite. And the tax on this non-monetary perquisite is suppose 11,000 rupees. So this 11,000 will not again going to be included in your salary head. So if the tax burden of non-monetary perquisite has been taken by the employer, then that tax amount is not going to be the part of your salary income other than non-monetary perquisite. Any tax burden has been paid by employer, that is going to be the part of your salary income. So this topic, this non-monetary perquisite, will also discuss in detail in perquisite topic. So any tax paid by employer on non-monetary perquisite would be exempted in the hands of employer. Okay. Goldie is asking, sir, what is the reason behind including tax amount paid by employer? So the reason you will get to know when we will discuss the term perquisite. So perquisite means if any obligation of employee met by employer. So if any obligation of employee met by employer, that is called perquisite, and that is going to be the part of your salary. Suppose if your fees is paid by someone else, so technically it's a kind of obligation of you which is paid by someone else. So the obligation word means if your liability has been taken by someone else, it would become automatically your income. So that is the definition of perquisite. So the tax liability on 10 lakh rupees, which was 1,12,500, whose obligation to pay tax? Employee was under the obligation to pay that tax to the government. But employer came and said, don't worry, we will pay your tax. So because employer takes your obligation, so that will become your income automatically. Because now employer is not paying you only 10 lakh. They are paying 10 lakh and they are also paying 1,12,500. So total payment is now 11,12,500. So that will become your total salary. But there is an exception. If in the examination for 1 mark it has been asked, what is the exception in which tax payment will not be considered as the income of salary of employee? So you will write it down this, that any tax paid on non-monetary perquisite will not be considered as income of employee's salary. Okay. In perquisite, you will understand in, because in that case, we are going to discuss perquisite term in detail. Yes, it's employee obligation to pay tax. Of course, if you are earning income, who will pay tax? You need to pay tax. Now, place of accrual of salary. That is for your homework students. Simple concept, as we have discussed, arise concept, accrual concept in residential status. So this is kind place of accrual, how you will determine. And in that example, in that concept we have discussed, any salary arise or earned from India or received in India will be taxable in India. And there was a concept of leave period salary. So if there is any leave period salary, that is also going to be taxed in India. And there was a concept of if you are employee of central government providing services outside India, as we have taken the example of Japan, and you are a non-resident but citizen of India, then only basic salary is going to be taxed. All allowances and all perquisites are going to be exempted. Allowances, perquisites are exempted. Only basic salary is going to be taxed. Now, there are some more cases in which the salary has been exempted. This is your homework purpose. Remuneration received by official of embassies, etc. of foreign states. So, if suppose if our ambassador is working in Japan, so it is a mutual agreement between the countries. If that your ambassador will work in our country, we will not take the tax. So Japanese government will not collect any tax on our ambassador, and the same benefit we will provide to the Japanese ambassador, those are working in our country. So technically they are working in our country, so we should collect tax, but there's a mutual exemption has been provided to the ambassador, foreign diplomats, etc. So general theoretical part, you can go through this point. Again, same kind of point. Point number 2 is for your homework. If there would be any problem, we will discuss in the next session. But it is theoretical part, nothing too technical involved is over here. So this is for your reading purpose. Third point also, fourth point also. So there are certain exemption has been provided to employees. If you are a foreign ambassador, you are working for foreign company, etc. If certain condition has been fulfilled. So these are those exemption. Kindly go through it. Now this is the numerical format which we are going to discuss in over here. And this is called ideal format for the calculation of your salary. As you can see, the format is so gigantic. Suppose there is a question which belongs to salary and you need to solve it. Then you can see how many points we have to solve. We have to find the basic salary. In that question, we have to identify the basic salary as I have shown you. I have shown you the components. Then maybe you need to also find out advance salary, arrear of salary, taxable portion of gratuity, pension, etc. So the fourth point would be in that case in which our employee get retirement generally. So fourth points are like compensation. Generally, it would be in question if the employee retired from that organization. If the retirement is not there, then generally these gratuity pension provision would not be there. Okay. Then we have fees, bonus, commission, and then taxable portion of allowances. So why these 6 components I have highlighted? If you see, M has been written over here in all cases. So this M means monetary payments. So these 6 payments does fall in the monetary category. Under salary head, there would be circumstances in which you might be asked to calculate monetary salary. So you should know what payment does fall in monetary category. So these 6 payments fall in monetary category, and I request you all, whenever you are going to solve a salary question, kindly consider all monetary payments firstly. First of all, take basic salary, advance salary, arrear of salary, then gratuity pension, that would be in retirement case only, then fees, bonus, commission, and taxable portion of allowance. So from your question, kindly take out these components first and arrange them like this. So all kind of monetary payments we should consider initially. After the all monetary payment we have calculated, the 7th point is starting from non-monetary category. These are non-monetary category. One is employer contribution to RPF. RPF stands for Recognized Provident Fund. We will discuss each and every provision in detail later on. So this time we cannot explain what is this 12%, what is NPS, etc. Detailed topic has been given. So I am just giving you the format that what we need to solve in a question of salary. Then the eighth point is for other perquisites. All perquisite, reimbursement, amenities, facilities, etc. Those are in non-monetary format and we have to include them also. After these 8 points calculation, the total would be regarded as gross salary. The aggregate would be called gross salary. Sridhar Gopal Rao asking, sir, what is mean by waiver in foregoing of salary? So waiver means to give something to someone, to leave your right upon something. That's a kind of call. We can call it donation. Donation, gift, etc. These are all example of waiver. Quality, sir, why is the concept of arrear arise when we charge on due or receipt basis? Because we will discuss basic salary meaning in detail, advanced salary and arrear also. So just wait for 5 minutes, Quality. You will come to know why arrear of salary is different. Arrear of salary is there. Okay. So the aggregate will be called gross salary. From this gross salary, there are 3 deduction what we can claim. One is standard deduction. Under optional tax regime, it's 50,000 or amount of salary, whichever is lower. So generally it would be 50,000. In case of default tax regime, it's 75,000 or salary, whichever is lower. So the detail is going to be discussed again. This point we will discuss in detail later on. Then there is entertainment allowance reduction also that could be claimed. And this is available only under optional tax regime. This reduction you cannot claim under default tax regime. And the third one is professional tax reduction. Again, this is only available under optional tax regime. So standard deduction for both regime, 75,000 under default to 50,000 under optional, but other reduction, entertainment allowance reduction and professional tax reduction, that would be only available under optional tax regime. So this is our goal, to find out the net salary or taxable salary or salary on which tax need to be charged. So in the exam, I believe the examiner is going to ask you to calculate the net salary, computed salary or taxable salary. So that would be our 11th point. Now this is the whole syllabus of salary chapter technically in front of your eyes. If we'll find out all these points, our chapter will over. But it would not be that easy. One by one, we are going to discuss each point. So starting from basic salary. Okay. Chalo. First of all, we will discuss basic salary, advanced salary, and arrear of salary. After that, we will move on further. So first of all, what is the meaning of basic salary? So in a very general way, if I'll tell you what is the meaning of basic salary, so it says the basic salary means the salary which is due during the year. So the salary which is due during the year, whether received or not. This is very interesting. Whether received or not, that would be called basic salary. So if you are working in any organization, so when you work, that means your salary is due. You are working for a month, your salary is due for a month. You work for 5 months, your salary is due for 5 months. So income tax say whether you received it or not does not matter. We will termed as basic salary. Now a very interesting thing. And that is going to be taxed. If we talk about how it's going to be taxed under income tax. So definition say which is due during the year, whether received or not. This is the definition of basic salary, which is due during the year, whether received or not. Then how it is going to be taxed? The taxation provision of basic salary, how we will tax it under salary head of income. So the concept says due or received, whichever is earlier, or from the point of view of amount calculation, we can say higher. So my request to all of you, please do not ask any question regarding basic salary or advanced salary until I'll complete this concept. It will take 5 or 10 minutes. But because if during that concept you will ask, so there would be a break of flow. And again, I know what is in your mind. I know what kind of question must be arise in your brain right now. So just have patience, because when I will complete the topic of basic salary and advanced salary, you will automatically get all the answers of your query. So please be patient. Okay, just stay with me. I will explain each and everything. So the definition of basic salary is this, that due during the year, whether received or not. But we are more concerned about how do we need to tax that. So for the purpose of taxability, you need to tax your salary on due or received, whichever is earlier or higher. Let me give you an example. Suppose Mr. A working in a company XYZ Limited in our previous year 25-26. Clear? The XYZ Limited paid him salary of 10 months only. So he worked for the full year. That means he worked for 12 months, but employer paid only 10 months salary and said that we will pay 2 months salary in the extra salary in the next year. So the 2 months salary, whatever we have not paid in this year, we will pay in the next year. So if in this example, now I'll ask you how much is going to be taxed as a basic salary. So we need to apply this formula. So which is due or received. So how many months salary has been due? And suppose the salary is 1 lakh rupees per month. So the due would be 12 lakh. Because the concept says basic salary means which is due during the year. Received or not, does not matter. So due was for full 12 months. So that would be 12 lakh. And if I'll ask you how much has been received, that is only 10 lakh. And if I'll now ask you how much going to be taxed, so from the amount point of view, higher is more easier to understand. Either you can say earlier higher, the same thing would be there. So the taxable salary for this year would be 12 lakh. And that would be my basic salary component. Understood till now? Do not ask anything. Just wait. Just wait. I know. Wait. Now what will happen in next year? In next year, there would be a special circumstances. In the year 26-27, Mr. A also worked for 12 months, whole year. But salary is going to be received for 14 months, because 12 months for this year and 2 months of last year's salary, which we did not pay to him. Employer said that I will pay you that salary in the next year. So he will pay 2 months salary of 25-26, which he did not pay, and this year 12 months salary, the employer is going to pay. Now, if I'll ask you how much salary is due, that would be 12 lakh again, because due was 12 lakh. Due means how many months you work in that year. And if I'll ask you how much is received, so the receipt would be 14 lakh. So if you'll go with the formula which has been saying earlier or higher, so that would be 14 lakh. But if you taxed 14 lakh, so that would be injustice with the employee. Why? Because whatever 2 lakh you have been received in this year, which is included in this 14 lakh, you have already paid tax in the earlier year. So there is a basic universal rule under Income Tax Act which apply every situation, that no income can be taxed twice. No income can be taxed twice. So even this formula is saying tax this, but there's a universal rule which will apply everywhere, that if any income has been taxed earlier, you cannot tax it again. So 14 would be as per the formula taxable value, but because 2 lakh we have already taxed in the last year on due basis. So something has been taxed on due basis. Now it cannot be taxed on received basis again. So this would be 12 lakh rupees basic salary taxable in 26-27. Understood? So always apply this formula, due or received. And if this kind of information has been given, that some amount already has been taxed on due basis earlier, then again automatically if it is going to be taxed on receipt basis, you need to subtract that amount. So balance 12 lakh is going to be taxed. Understood? Okay. So that was basic salary. Still, do not ask any question. Just wait. Let me complete advanced salary because they are interconnected. So you would be confused if you'll ask anything right now. Let me explain you now what is the meaning of advanced salary. Just stay with me. Enjoy this journey. That's it. So now what is advanced salary? Advanced salary definition says if salary received but not due, obviously that's called advanced salary, because if something has been due, that would always be basic salary. So something has been received without working, without it getting due, that would be always called advanced salary, and it is also taxable. Now let me give you one more example. Suppose Mr. B is working in XYZ Limited for financial year 25-26, previous year 25-26. Salary is 1 lakh rupees per month. Now, employer is very happy with the work of Mr. B, so he paid 15 months salary to Mr. B in this year. So he paid 15 lakh rupees in this year. Now, as per taxation of salary income, again that concept we will apply due or received. So due is how much? 12 lakh rupees. Due will not change whether you received more than that, whether you receive less than that, whether you receive zero. Due will always be 12 lakh rupees. Now received is 15 lakh. And now whichever is higher is 15 lakh. Now out of this 15 lakh, nothing is that kind of salary which has been taxed earlier. Nothing is that. So this 15 lakh is fresh. So we going to tax this 15 lakh in our 25-26. But a very important thing to understand, in salary format, we have to show separately basic salary, advanced salary, and arrear of salary. You cannot tax 15 lakh rupees as basic salary. That would be a wrong interpretation. So out of this 15 lakh, we need to show 12 lakh rupees in our solution as basic salary and 3 lakh rupees as advanced salary. Now again, what will happen in next year? In next year 26-27, because 3 months advance salary which belongs to this year has been paid in 25-26. So now in this year, employer only paid 9 months salary. Understood why? Because 3 months of the next year salary already has been paid as advance salary in the 25-26. So this year employer did not pay anything in advance. They pay the remaining 9 months salary to Mr. B. So again, when we apply this formula due or received, so due would be 12 lakh because he worked for the whole year. But the received would be 9 lakh. Now, as per the concept, the higher is going to be taxed. Now, students, as in the due case, if anything has been taxed earlier, whether on due or received or any basis, that cannot be taxed again. So because 3 lakh rupees has been taxed as advance salary earlier year, so that cannot be the part of my salary in this year. So this year basic salary component would be 9 lakh. I hope you got it. What is basic salary? What is advance salary? If you receive any salary and taxed it on the basis of due, it cannot be taxed when it received. If something has been taxed as received basis, it cannot be taxed on due basis. Abhi arrear of salary has been left. Okay, so now advance salary and basic salary concept is clear. If you have any confusion in basic salary and advance salary, ask, but not arrear of salary. What is arrear of salary? You will be going to know within 5 or 10 minutes. Okay, so everything is clear. So now if you'll see, we have left with what is arrear of salary. And of course, a student asked me that, sir, if salary is going to be taxed, and even you can judge now that if salary is going to be taxed on due or received, how arrear of salary would be there? How it's possible? Arrear means something we did not taxed earlier. So if it is going to be taxed on received or due, both basis. So how come arrear of salary concept could be there? Let me tell you how it's possible. Gaurav asking, due means end of the month. No, Gaurav. Due means which is whatever working you are doing. Accordingly, the salary need to be paid to you. The employer will decide whether he wants, according to his accounting system, whether he wants to due that salary at the end of the month, in the starting of next month, during the month, or any time. So when you will make it due entry, when you will pass that entry, that will depend upon the organization accounting policy. But due does not mean end of the month. Due means you worked for someone. So that's why you have a right to receive the salary. That is the meaning of due. So due means accrue. But when he will going to pass that entry in the books of account, that depends upon the policy of the organization. Now, arrear of salary. How arrear of salary will arise? Because we are over there to tax the salary always, whether it's received or due, whichever is earlier. Then how this arrear concept will come? Let me tell you how. Suppose Mr. C is working in a company, say ABC Limited. Okay? And he's working from year 2005. In 2005, his salary was, suppose, 20,000 per month. From 2010, he asked the company that kindly increase my salary. This is very low. 20,000 per month is very low. Kindly increase my salary via 5,000 rupees per month. So please make my salary 25,000 per month. Employer refused. Suppose employer refused. They say, no, we will not pay you. So suppose now Mr. C went to the court. Court take a lot of time. And in 2025-26, the judgment of court said that yes, Mr. C should have additional 5,000 salary per month from the year 2010. Now understand this thing. When the judgment has come in your previous year, in which court said that this increment should be effective from 2010, 2015, whatever. We assume that they said yes, from 2010, his salary should have been 5,000 per month. Now, judgment has come in 2025 and it is effective from back date. So it is not effective from 25-26. It's effective from 2010. So these kind of judgment we call retrospective. Retrospective effect. So if the salary is going to be increased from 25, 26, then we call prospective effect judgment, but this will be called retrospective effect. So please remember this word, retrospective effect. Arrear of salary concept or arrear concept will only arise when there is any retrospective increment in the salary. That could be due to the judgment of court or the government, due to any pay commission, etc. But that, if any judgment is effective from back date, we called it retrospective effect judgment. Now what will happen? Now from 2010-2025, so for 15 years, every month 5,000. So technically for 1 year, 60,000 he should have received extra from the employer. So for 15 year, if we multiplied 60,000 per annum, that would be 9 lakh rupees. So this will be called arrear of salary. Now, this cannot be due in 2010 because in 2010, we did not know what the court will order. When we are confirm about it, when we have say that yes, I have a right to receive this salary, when the judgment is in your favor. So there was two options. Either to tax this 60,000 in every year. If you have a time machine, judgment test came in 2025. So if you have a time machine, you can go to 2010 and then you can pay 60,000 rupees extra tax in your salary in 2010. Employer will pay you in 2010 with the help of time machine. In next year 11, again he will go back into the time, will pay you 60,000 in 2011. You will pay tax accordingly, and then 12, 13. So this is not possible. So technically we are going to receive the money in 25, 26. But this money does not belongs to 25, 26 only. Only 60,000 belongs to the current year. The old all 15 years salary, which 9 lakh we receive, that belongs to technically 15 years. So that is called arrear of salary. So if I'll tell you the basic salary for this 25, 26 will be after the increment, that would be 25,000 into 12. This will be called my basic salary. But this will be that amount which is not including the current year income, because current year salary increment is going to be taxed in current year. But the preceding 15 year salary, which has not been due earlier also, because we did not know that we have right to receive or not, that will be decided by the court. So this is kind of salary which is not due earlier, not received earlier. But now due to retrospective effect, we are going to receive that salary. It belongs to old year, but we will receive it in current year. So that is called arrear of salary, and that is 9 lakh going to be taxed in current year. For this arrear of salary, there is a concept of relief also. That suppose employee can say that if you tax my whole salary in a single year, so my tax slab would be higher. I do need to pay higher tax. So if this salary is going to be received 60,000, 60,000, 60,000, like that in preceding 15 years, so my tax liability would be lower than that due to that split of the income. So for that purpose, there is a concept of relief also, and that we will discuss at the end of salary chapter. Because if right now we are going to discuss that, that is not possible, because you should understand what is allowances, perquisite, etc. Then only you will be able to solve this kind of question. But does you understand now? Do you understand now what is the meaning of arrear of salary? Is it clear right now? The basic salary definition, which is due during the year, received or not. The advanced salary definition, which is received but not due during the year. The arrear of salary means which is received due to retrospective effect. That is called arrear of salary. The three are different things. Understood? चलो, अभी किसी को हिंदी में समझना है अगर ये एरिया ऑफ सैलरी तो बता दो, मैं आपको सिंपल लैंग्वेज में हिंदी में बता दूंगा. इफ एनीबडी वांट्स टू नो व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ एरिया ऑफ सैलरी, बिकॉज थोड़े टर्म इसके कॉम्प्लिकेटेड है. सबको इंग्लिश में समझ में आ गया? चलो, moving on. Now we are going to discuss these topic as per the notes. Now you will understand what is basic, etc. as I have explained you with the help of example. To calculate the income under that salary, there are four components. Of course, we have discussed that also with the help of diagram. Basic salary, advance, arrear, commission, bonus, they are monetary payments, generally monthly payment, except arrear. Arrear of salary, generally in a lump sum. Otherwise, basic and advance salary are monthly payments. Allowances, these are monthly and monetary payments. Compensation and profit in lieu of salary generally received after service, like gratuity, etc. Not monthly. Pension is only monthly, otherwise, other than pension, all compensations are one-time payment. And perquisites, the main characteristics is monthly and non-monetary. Now, section 15, which talks about basic salary charge. Salaries charged on due or receipt, whichever is earlier. Kindly go through these points. We have discussed that if anything has been paid in advance, that cannot be taxed when it becomes due. And when anything has been taxed as due, it cannot be taxed as when received. Examples are there. I have already discussed the example with you. The definition of advance salary is there. You can go through it. Difference between advance salary and advance against salary. This can be theoretical, 1 marks, 2 marks question could also be there. So advance salary means salary, but you received it in advance without being due. But advance against salary is a kind of a loan. It's not your income. So if you are taking loan and you say from your employer, I will pay that loan via my salary. So that is called advance against salary. So you can go through its simple definition. Then arrear of salary, when there is retrospective effect, that is called arrear of salary. The example has been given over here. So you can go through it and you can see relief under section 89 is available. So how we are going to apply that relief, that would be discussed in salary part 3. Meaning of salary, it says general terminology, you can go through it. Salary means wages, pension, gratuity, fees, allowances, perquisite, etc., etc., etc. Now, the second important term is allowances. So, in the starting, I have discussed a screen, I have shared a screen with you in which the part A was basic salary, advanced salary, and arrear of salary meaning. The second part B is for allowances, in which we have seen that there are certain allowances. Those are taxable for all employees. Then there are certain allowances which are taxable under default tax regime, but partially exempted under optional tax regime. And then there is a category of allowances, only I guess 3 or 4 allowances. Those are fully exempted under optional tax regime. Okay, so we are going to discuss these kind of allowances. There are multiple kind of allowances in these categories. Basic things like different types of allowances are given to employees by the employer. Generally, allowances are given to employee to meet their particular requirement like house rent, expense on uniform, conveyance, etc. Under the Income Tax Act 1961, allowances is taxable on due or receipt, whichever is earlier. Various types of allowances normally are discussed below. So now these are 3 categories. Fully taxable under both regime, fully taxable under default, partly exempt under optional, and fully exempt only under the optional tax regime. There are only 3 allowance in C category: allowance to High Court judges, salary and allowances paid by United Nations organization, sumptuary allowances granted to High Court or Supreme Court judges. The details have been given down. We will go and discuss one by one every category of allowances. Okay. So as I have told you, salary is a gigantic topic and sometimes it feels difficult also. But you can see out of these four components, basic, arrear, advance, and the main concept of salary, employer-employee relationship, and then allowances, and then perquisite, and then compensation. Till now, I believe it does not feel difficult because it is not difficult. It is like there are multiple provisions. So to remember all the provision, that is difficult because any provision out of those provision could be asked in the examination. Like in the examination, it won't happen that they will ask you to basic salary also, advanced salary, area salary, 10 types of allowances, 10 types of perquisite. No, it won't happen that they will ask you all these things in a single question. There would be one or two or three allowances, one or two or three perquisite. But the problem is, what one or two or three perquisite or which two or three of perquisite allowances would be there, this thing we do not know. So we need to learn, we need to understand all allowances of 10 and 15 types, all perquisite of 10 and 15 types. So that is feeling like a burden for us. Individually, all perquisite, all allowances are easy. But in aggregate, that could create a problem. But there is solution for that also. Continuous revision. And suppose out of those 7 or 8 points, if you miss one, it does not affect that much. At least you have need to solve 75, 80 or 85% question correctly. So there would be step marking, but try to solve each and everything, but do not take that burden that how I would be able to solve all 10 or 11 points of a question. So just relax. You need to solve 9 or 10 points. That would be enough for you. So we are starting from allowances. Allowances are monetary payments. And as we have seen, that is generally given to employees for the purpose of meeting their expenditure during employment. Suppose you live in Delhi and you got a job opportunity in Mumbai of 1 lakh rupees per month. So in that 1 lakh rupees per month, your employer will provide basic salary, suppose 60, 70,000, depends upon the salary structure. And because they know that you have to make expenditure for accommodation, for food, for uniform, for conveyance, etc. So the remaining 40,000, they will divide it as per the organization policy. Something for house rent allowance, for lunch allowance, uniform allowance, there could be perquisite, etc. So if you know anyone who is getting salary in your house, ask for their salary slip. If your parents are working, if your brothers, sisters are working, or anyone, and if they are saying that they are earning 60,000 per month, 70,000, 80,000, 1 lakh, etc. So ask for their salary slip. And if you'll see that salary slip, you will see there would be basic salary component, allowances, and perquisite also. That would not be possible in local organization. If somebody is working in a local shop, then he must be getting only basic salary 30,000, 25,000, 50,000. But if you are working in a good company, MNC, any bank, etc., then you will see in a salary slip, these components would be there. So the aggregate they will tell you as their salary, but that include basic, allowances, perquisite, etc. So allowances which are fully taxable under both regime. A very interesting concept about allowances is your employer will pay you the amount. Suppose your employer have a policy that they pay you house rent allowance. So you can take any accommodation on rent, and company decided that we will pay you 10,000 per month as house rent allowance. So they will pay you this money. Now it's your choice whether you finding a house for a rent of 10,000, for a rent of 5,000, you are living in a hostel for 2,000, you are living on a footpath for free, you are living with your relatives, or you own your own houses there. So they will pay you 10,000 even if you spend only 2,000. You need not to pay back 8,000, and company is not going to ask you that return our 8,000. That is in case of perquisite, not in case of allowance. Allowance means this money is yours. Do whatever you want. If you want a house rent of 15,000, then employer will not pay extra. 10,000 they paid, the 5,000 you have to put from your side. So allowances means the monetary payment the employer will give you, and whatever amount you want to spend, it's your choice. If anything has been saved by you, you need not to return it. Suppose employer provide you 5,000 rupees per month for conveyance allowance, and you have decided to take lift every day, and you saved all 5,000 rupees. Still, it's yours. You need not to return it to the company, but whatever you will save, that is going to be taxed. How it's going to be taxed, that is going to be discussed. But allowances main concept, employer will provide you and he will forget it. You need to save the full amount. You can do that. You can save the partial amount. You can spend the whole amount. But employer once pay that, he will forget about the amount of allowance, whatever he has paid to you. Now allowances which are fully taxable. That's a very good news. You do not need to learn any provision for those allowances. Those are fully exempted or those are fully taxable. Why? Because if that allowance has been given in the question, if it is fully taxable, consider the whole amount in your salary format. If that is fully exempted, then you do not need to consider it. The problem is with those allowances having partially exempted and taxable. For those allowance, we have to go through with the provision. So these allowance name is enough. If city compensatory allowance is there, fully taxable. If entertainment allowance is there, fully taxable, but as you have seen in the ideal format, there was a deduction. Entertainment allowance deduction. One was standard deduction, 75,000, 50,000. Second was entertainment allowance deduction, only for optional tax region. So if you will get any entertainment allowance, suppose 3,000 per month. So first of all, 30,000 rupees for the year is going to be taxed in the allowance category. Over here, let me show you. If you are getting 3,000 rupees per month, then in this allowance category, 3,000 per month, we will taxable full 36,000 over this format over here. And if you opt for optional tax regime, then the deduction regarding it, there's a format to find out the deduction. The eligible amount of deduction you can subtract from here. Suppose it comes 6,000 rupees. Yeah, suppose it comes 5,000 rupees. Then deduction would be reduced from here. You cannot tax the net amount. You cannot tax 31,000. That would be a wrong presentation. Full amount need to be taxed over here, and deduction, whatever amount it comes as an eligible amount, that needs to be deducted in deduction part. Understood? What deduction is there? How we will calculate it? That is a separate provision we will discuss in deduction topic. You can see this allowance is given to employee to meet the expense toward hospitality in receiving customer, etc. That gives a deduction towards entertainment allowance only to government employees. So this is also very important. This deduction can be claimed under optional tax regime and only if you are a government employee. You can see the deduction permissible we'll discuss later in this chapter and not allowed under section 115 BAC. Under default tax regime, you cannot claim it. Other is transport allowance. So if your employer provide you any allowance to commute from your place of business to your residence, from office to your house, from your house to your office. For this purpose, suppose your employer say we will pay you 5,000 per month. This is transport allowance. Then that is going to be 100% taxable. Again, an important point is there. Transport allowance granted to an employee to meet his expenditure for the purpose of commuting between the place of residence and the place of duty. It is fully taxable, but there is an exemption for blind, deaf, dumb, orthopedically handicapped employees exemption up to 3,200 rupees per month is provided under section 1014. This exemption is under both regimes. So if the employee is orthopedically handicapped and blind, etc., in that case, he can claim 3,200 rupees per month exemption. That is a fixed exemption. Whether he spend less amount or high amount does not matter. So if he is receiving 5,000 per month, an employee is not blind or orthopedically handicapped, then full 5,000 per month is taxable. But if it is handicapped, then out of this 5,000, 3,200 is going to be exempted, fixed. Actual expenditure is irrelevant. And 1,800 rupees per month is going to be taxed. So these were three examples of allowances. Those are fully taxable. If there is any other allowance which is not included in B category, we are going to discuss, or C category. So other than B and C category, any allowance if comes into the question, you can tax it fully. Like lunch allowance, dog allowance, cat allowance, telephone allowance, internet allowance, whatever it is, you need to tax it completely if any allowance does not fall in category B and C. And as category A was very simple, because any allowance there taxed 100%. Now the provisions are generally in category B, because category B's are those allowances, those are partly exempted and partly taxable, depending on certain circumstances, and this is only under optional tax regime. If these allowances are under default tax regime, these are going to be fully taxable under default tax regime. Only partly exempted under optional tax regime. Understood? And for the purpose of calculation, B part of allowances definitely is going to be asked in the examination, because A part is simple, full taxable, only 130-200 rupees exemption there, and entertainment allowance deduction. But in B category, there are multiple allowances, there are multiple provision. We need to go through it. The first is the most important is house rental, because only this allowance is having little more calculation in comparison to other allowance of B category. So whatever provision is having more calculation, that is automatically more important for the purpose of examination, because the term important and difficult is same thing. If something is difficult, automatically that is important, and if something is important in your life, that is automatically not easy, that is difficult. So doing graduation was easy, and doing CA is difficult. So what is more important, graduation or CA? Of course CA. So whether it's your personal life or professional life, whatever is difficult, that is important, and whatever is important, that is only difficult in this world. So if I say this question is important, or this question or this provision is important, that means indirectly I'm telling you this is not easy. And if I'm saying, student, this is concept is difficult, so indirectly I'm telling you this is important for your examination. So HRA is important and difficult in comparison to other. So house rent allowance, if you are going to join any service, and if the organization is having a policy to provide you allowance for the purpose of your rental accommodation, they can provide you house rent allowance. So that would be given in question, that HRA has been provided. Now what is your or our task? Our task is to find out the exempted portion and the taxable portion, because for the purpose of salary we need to tax the taxable portion. So if there is any exempted portion, we have to remove it, and we have to only apply the taxable portion in it. How do we need to calculate that? So HRA is a special allowance especially granted to an employee by his employer toward the payments of rent for residence of the employee. minimum of the following will be exempted from tax. So there are three calculations. You have to calculate three amount, and the lowest of these three is going to be exempted. And of course, the balance is going to be taxable. देखिए, the universal formula for finding out the taxable value is received, the amount you received, less exempted. This is a universal formula. So whatever HRA you received, if you deduct the exempted amount, you will get the taxable amount. So our task is to find out the taxable value. So there are three calculation you need to do to find out the exempted amount of HRA. And once you find out the exempted amount, it's very easy to find out the taxable amount. The first point, again, very easy. Actual amount received for relevant period. The amount of HRA provided by your employer, that would be in point number 1. Suppose employer is paying you 10,000 rupees per month. So that would be in your first point, 10,000 into 12. That means 1,20,000 for the year. Suppose the HRA has been paid only for 7 months. Then we will take 70,000 because it has been written for relevant period. So the amount of HRA you received, that would be the part of first point. The second point is rent paid. The rent paid, that also given in the question, that how much rent you are paying. Your employer is paying you 10,000 rupees per month HRA. The question will say you are paying 8,000 per month rent, 7,000, 11,000, 12,000, whatever it is. You can write it down in point number 2, rent paid, and then reduce 10% of salary for relevant period. So out of that rent paid, you have to reduce 10% of salary. What is the meaning of that salary? That is going to be discussed in note number 1, 2, 3. First of all, just we should understand the concept, the formula. So first point is HRA received. Second point is rent paid minus 10% of salary. And third point is 50% of salary if house is in metro cities, Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai. So if you are residing in these cities, then 50% of salary need to be taken. And if anyone anywhere else, then 40% of salary need to be considered. Understood? This exemption is only under optional tax regime because we are discussing those points. Under default tax regime, if HRA received, full amount is going to be taxed. Now note number 1, and it is very important. This explains the meaning of salary. You can see in point number 2, you need to take the 10% of salary. So without knowing the salary, you cannot solve it. And again, point number 3, everything depends upon salary, 50% or 40%. So the most important point to solve this question is to identify that salary. Now, what is the meaning of salary? Let me explain to you. The meaning of salary, it says you need to find out the basic salary. What is the meaning of basic salary? We have already discussed. You need to take that part, basic salary. Okay? No advanced salary, no area salary, only basic salary. You need to add dearness allowance. So dearness allowance would be given in that question, and dearness allowance is a fully taxable allowance because that has not been given in part B and part C. So those allowances not included in part B, part C, that is going to be fully taxable allowance. But dearness allowance is having two kinds of components. Let me explain you with the help of example. Look, in my opinion, if the salaries question is asking you 10 times, then at least for 8 out of these 10 questions, HRA provision would be there. So HRA is that important. But almost an 80% question of salary, if that is going to be asked in examination, HRA concept would be there, I believe. Chalo. So for the purpose of HRA calculation, the first point was HRA received. The second point is rent paid minus 10% of salary. The third point is 50% or 40% of salary. So whatever would be the lowest is going to be exempted. And taxable formula I have told you, the received amount minus exempt. So now we are discussing the meaning of salary. The meaning of salary says you have to take the basic salary and add dearness allowance. Now dearness allowance is having two types of dearness allowances there. Two types of dearness allowances there. One is as per retirement benefit. That would be given in question whether this DA is as per retirement benefit or not. As per retirement benefit, or we can call it as per terms of employment, etc. And one is not as per retirement. That would be given in question. So we just need to consider this one. For the purpose of calculation of HRA salary, we have to only consider DA as per retirement benefit. Suppose this is 2000 per month. This is 1000 per month. So total DA has been given 3000 per month. And the question says 2000 as per retirement benefit, 1000 as per not retirement benefit. Then we will consider only 2000 DA. Understood? That would be given in question. Now third one is percentage commission on turnover. The total of these three would become salary for the purpose of HRA. Now commission could be given in the question like this, that commission is 2500 rupees per month. This commission we will not consider because it is not on percentage base. If the commission has been given in question 1% of sale and the sale for the whole year was 10 lakh, then 10,000 would form part of this commission. Okay, so that would be given in question whether it's percentage based or it's monthly based. So monthly based commission we will not consider for the purpose of calculation of HRA salary. And in case of DA, we will only consider DA as per terms of retirement or terms of employment or retirement benefit. Other DA we will not consider. Okay, now let me solve this question. Suppose there is Mr. A who is working in Delhi. 1st April 2025 information has been given. He is working in Delhi. HRA receive is suppose 10,000 per month. Rent paid by him suppose 14,000 per month. Salary is 50,000 per month, basic salary. DA is 2,000 per month. If question is silent about DA, that whether it's as per terms of employment or not, so we will always assume as per not terms of employment. Listen very carefully. If it is not given whether DA as per terms or not, always assume as not terms of employment, not. Suppose in this question has been given as per terms of employment, 2000, 1000, DA, non-term. Commission is 2000 per month. Now you can see this commission we will not consider, this DA we will not consider. Understood? So now information has been given. Now one change also has been given in this question. The question say from 1st August 2025, he shifted from Delhi to Agra. Job has been shifted from Delhi to Agra. His HRA remains the same, but the rent paid is decreased 11,000 per month. Salary, only basic salary is there now, 50,000. No DA, no commission. So the question also having this concept, the provision is also having this concept that if HRA has been changed during the year, or the information which is relevant for the purpose of calculation as HRA is changed during the year, then you have to separately solve that question for that part of the year. For calculation of HRA, if you see closely, there are 4 main components. One is HRA received. If this amount changed during the year, suppose HRA was 10,000, it increased to 12,000 or reduced. So that means that will affect your exemption. The second component which can affect your calculation is rent paid. As in our question, rent paid change. The third component is salary. In our question, salary also changed. And the 4 is place. If you are in metro cities, it would be 50, else 40. So any of this component, if changed during the year, HRA received, rent paid, salary, and place of service, if changed, then the provision says you cannot calculate full year calculation at once. Whenever that change happens, you have to solve that part calculation separately. So for that part, HRA calculation would be separate, and for the remaining part, it should be separate. Like in this example, now we have to solve this HRA twice. First, we have to solve from April till July. So that means 4 months calculation should be separate, and this would be now 8 months calculation. If you solve it aggregately, your answer would be wrong. So first point, HRA received 10,000, that means 40,000. Rent paid, the second is rent paid minus 10% of salary. So you will see the rent paid is 14,000. So for 4 months, that would be 56,000. And now we need to find the 10% of salary. And salary will include this and this only. That means 52,000 into 4. That comes 2,08,000. So 10% of 2,08,000 need to be reduced from rent paid. So that figure will come 35,200. Clear? He was in Delhi. So we will take 50% of salary. 50% of this salary, that means that would be 1,04,000. So we have 3 components. The lowest is going to be exempted. So 35,200 is going to be my exemption. So what would be taxable value? 40,000 minus exempted. Received minus exempted is the universal concept to calculate the taxable value. That is 4,800 rupees. Taxable. That is only for 4 months. Now for 8 months, we have to calculate this provision again. For 8 months, HRA is still 80,000. Rent paid change. For 8 months, it would be 88,000. And now 10% of salary. 50,000 per month. So for 8 months, it would be 4 lakh rupees. And 40% of it we will reduce. So we will having 48,000 in second category. Now he shifted to Agra, which is not a metro city. So 40% of this we need to consider in third point. That would be 1,60,000. So there is no new concept, but you have to calculate twice separately. 48,000 is lowest value. That is going to be exempted. The taxable would be 80,000 minus 48,000. 32,000 is going to be taxable. So total taxable HRA would be 32 plus 48. That means under salary, we will include 36,800 rupees HRA taxable value. Suppose in this example, suppose there is one more changed. Suppose question say from 1st February 2026, you still in Agra, your HRA change to 15,000. Your rent paid remains the same. Your basic salary changed to 80,000 per month. Now we have to do this calculation thrice. Now for second part, August, September, October, November, December, January. That means now the calculation would be for 6 months. 6 months with this data and remaining 2 months. Calculation of HRA with this data. So these 4 components, out of these 4 components, whenever there would be change in any component, for that part you have to make calculation separately. So provision would remain the same. The formula would be same. HRA received, rent paid 10%, 50-40, but calculation would increase. So that kind of question can be asked separately for HRA in 2 or 3 marks. You do not need to do anything new. Just you have to calculate separately for that time duration which has been affected due to change in any of these 4 factors. I hope it's clear, students. So you can see HRA concept is only based on 3 points. HRA received, that would be given in question. Rent paid minus 10% of salary. Rent paid would also be in question. 10% we know, we just need to calculate the correct salary. For salary component, I have told you basic salary, DA as per terms. That would be specifically given in question, term and non-term. And percentage commission on sale. Only that commission you can consider which is on percentage based. Out of these 3, then 40 or 50% of salary. Out of these 3, whatever is the lowest is going to be exempted. And the balance received minus exempted is going to be taxed. Okay. So now we will resume after a short break. So please have your coffee, tea, etc. And we will see each other after 10 minutes of break. So Ashok sir, can we go for a break? Thank you. your tea, coffee, water, etc., and you are ready for the allowances concept, the next allowance concept. So we have just discussed the HRA provisions, and this is the main allowance. I believe on all allowances, HRA is the most important. And when I say important, that is, we can say in comparison to other allowances, most difficult. And if you find out how to calculate HRA, that means allowances concept you are now going to understand very easily, because other allowances are not difficult, very, very easy. So note number one, that was regarding the meaning of basics, the meaning of salary for the purpose of HRA, as we have discussed. Salary for the purpose of basic salary, dearness allowance if provided in terms of employment, and commission as a fixed percentage of turnover. Salary means gratuity C case. Actually, in gratuity case, when we will discuss the provision of gratuity, there is three case A, B, and C. In the gratuity C case also, this salary consider basic, DAS per terms, and percentage commission. So that's why I've written over here gratuity C case also having the same kind of salary. That is also written in gratuity provisions. Note number two, if employee does not pay any rent, suppose employee lives in his own house, he does not pay any rent or lives in own house, then when you will solve this question, first point is HRA and second is rent paid minus 10% of salary. So if rent paid is zero because he lives in own house or not paying any rent, then automatically the second point value will come zero. So lowest will be always zero. So exemption will be always zero. So this note number two is just to save your time. If the question says he lives in own house or he does not pay any rent, then exemption would be always zero and full amount is going to be taxed. So you need not to show the calculation. So if rent paid is zero, you can directly write it down. Exemption is zero, full amount is taxable. So that will save you 2 or 3 or 4 minutes, which you can use for the purpose of calculation. So no exemption can avail. Note number three is that point when I solved that example, I've shown you if any of those 4 factors change, then for that time duration, you have to calculate the HRA separately. 4 factor, salary, place of residence, rent paid, and HRA. So it says if any change in the amount of these 4 factors, exemption will not be computed on annual basis. In such case, exemption should be computed separately for each fraction of the year in which above factor have changed. Please refer your test your knowledge first question. In first question of test your knowledge, I think there are calculation 4 or 5 times calculation you need to be done because the changes are constant changes again and again. So you can go through with that example. Now, special allowances to meet expense relating to duties or personal expenditure, section 1014. It generally consists 4 expenditure. Oh, sorry, 6 expenditures are there. And in this 6 expenditure, first one, which is traveling or transfer allowance. So that was transport allowance we have discussed earlier. This is different, that is different. So for transport allowance, full taxable. Only 30 to 100 rupees per month exemption can be claimed by a blind or orthopedically handicapped. But transfer and traveling allowance partly exempt under both region. Daily allowance partly exempt under both region. Conveyance allowance partly exempt under both region. So these 3 partly exempt under both region. Traveling, daily, and conveyance. Helper allowance, partly exempt under optional regime. Research or academic allowance, partly exempt under optional regime. And uniform allowance, partly exempt under optional regime. So out of these 6, 3 are partly exempt under both regime and 3 are only partly exempted under optional tax regime. How we will calculate the exemption? The good news, for the calculation of exemption, the all 6 allowances have the same concept, that above are exempt to the minimum of following. All 6 allowances, if the exemption need to be calculated, it says minimum of following 2 would be exempt. Amount of allowance which would be given in question and amount utilized for official purpose, whichever is lower, that is going to be exempt, used for official purpose. For example, suppose employer provide 5,000 rupees per month as a conveyance allowance to employee. Fine. And now employee use 3,000 per month out of this allowance for official purpose, 1,000 per month for personal purpose, and 1,000 per month saved. So can you tell me the taxable allowance for this 1 month? What would be the taxable value of the allowance in 1 month? $3,000 by Vishaka. 3,000. We used 3,000 for official purpose. I am asking not exempted. I am asking taxable value. What would be the taxable value of 1 month of this allowance? Vedant is absolutely correct. It would be 2,000. Because when you will put amount of allowance value 5,000, use for official 3,000. So lower 3,000 exempt, balance 2,000 is going to be tax. So all these allowances is having the same treatment, whether it's conveyance, traveling, daily, helper, research, and uniform allowance. Clear? Note again saying the same thing that 1, 2, and 3, traveling, daily, and conveyance exempted also under default and optional tax regime. An employee being an assessee opt for the provision of 115 BAC would be entitled for exemption for traveling, daily, and conveyance. Okay. There are more allowances which does fall in section 1040, but these allowances are on the basis of special compensatory allowance in the nature of special hilly area, etc. So these are multiple hilly areas provision has been given, and I believe that's not possible to remember that high altitude allowance, these allowances, this allowances, avalanche allowances, this is this much and this much. For any special compensatory border area allowance, remote, etc., 1300, 1050, 200, these kind of allowance, which is very variable on the basis of the location, etc. It's not practically possible to allow. So I will recommend you go through those all allowances and remember these. This is important. 200 rupees per month. This is very, very important. Any allowance granted to an employee working in any transport system. So now this is a transport allowance for transport employee. One transport allowance we have gone through that was taxable for both. And if it is exempted up to 3,200 rupees per month for orthopedically handicapped and blind. But this is different. This is transport allowance, but this is for transport employee. Like truck driver, etc. Those are employee of a transport company. If they are getting transport allowance, then this provision would be applicable. We will discuss this provision in detail. Then again, children education allowance, 100 rupees per month per child, maximum up to 2 children. Hostel expenditure allowance for children, 300 rupees, 300 rupees per month per child, maximum of 2 children. Then compensatory field area allowance, 2,600 rupees per month. Compensatory modified field area allowance, 1,000 per month. Any special allowance in counter insurgency allowance, 3,900 rupees. Underground allowance, ₹800 per month. So underground allowance means if you are working in an organization in underground circumstances, like your mining site, etc. We are talking about that kind of allowance. So if you are working at a mining site, etc., then you can get extra 800 rupees per month exemption if you are getting any underground allowance. Any special allowance in the nature of high altitude allowance, any special, again, those area wise, just go and read it. So we need to discuss three important allowance from this category. One is allowances granted to transport employee, then children education allowance, and then hostel allowance. Let me explain you with the help of example. So that would be giving you a clear picture. How do we need to calculate that allowance? First of all, children education allowance. It says it's 100 rupees per month per child and maximum for 2 children. So suppose Mr. A is having 3 child. 1, 2, 3. For child 1, he is getting 200 rupees per month allowance. For child number 2, he is getting 150 rupees. And for child number 3, he is getting 110 rupees per month allowance. Now 100 rupees per month per child is exempt and maximum for 2 children. So he can claim 100 rupees for this child and 100 rupees for this child. So taxable value would be 100, 50, and this child cannot get the exemption because maximum is for 2 children. So this is my taxable value. Now suppose if I'll change this question, 3 child, 110, 80 rupees and 90 rupees. Now how much exemption we can claim in example number 2? Or we can say which child we should claim exemption. From child number 1, 2 or 3, for 2 child, we can claim the exemption. So which child we should select for the purpose of exemption so we can have the maximum exemption. Look, if you will give exemption like this, that in aggregate, if you are providing 200 rupees, that's a wrong calculation. Each child can claim maximum 100. You cannot aggregate the exemption. So out of these three, we can select any 2 child for the purpose of exemption. Sridhar is saying child number 2 and 3. No, Sridhar, it is a wrong answer. Anyone else? Vijwal is saying 1 and 3. Gaurav is saying 1 and 3. Anjum is saying 1 and 3. Well done. The correct answer is 1 and 3. We need to claim exemption in a way so you can have the maximum exemption and lower the tax liability. So we will exempt 100 from this child. So 10 rupees would be taxable. Now out of these two, like in above example, allowance is more than 100 for all 3 child. So it does not matter. You can provide any child the exemption. But the concept would be, but the solution pattern should be always provide the exemption from those children claiming the highest of allowance. So out of these three, we will claim 90 rupees for him. We cannot claim 100 because maximum allowance exemption could be up to the amount of allowance. And 80 over here is taxable. So total taxability would be 90 rupees per month. If you'll provide the exemption to child 1 and child 2, then the taxability would be 100 rupees per month. So we always select that concept via we can minimize the taxability. So always select the highest allowance children. Same in case of children education allowance and same provision you should apply in case of hostel allowances. In hostel allowance, the exemption limit is 300 rupees, but the concept would be same. 300 for 2 child, maximum for 2 children. Now the transport allowance concept we need to discuss. Now in case of transport allowance, if you see there are 2 transport allowance. One is transport allowance to transport employee. That is under a special allowance category. Fine. And this is transport allowance to other employees. For other employees, it's 100% taxable under both regime, but only 3,200 rupees per month. Exempt if it is for handicapped or blind, etc. under both regime. Clear? That point we have already discussed. Now, if you are a transport employee and you are getting transport allowance, then there would be two possibilities. Either you are getting transport allowance and no daily allowance. Any other allowance you are receiving or not does not matter, but if transport allowance and daily allowance received together, then the provision change. So suppose the first case is you are getting transport allowance, but you are not getting any daily allowance. Can you tell me where we have read daily allowance provision? Can you tell me either we have gone through with the daily allowance provision today or not yet? So if transport employee receiving transport allowance but no daily allowance, then concept would be different. And if transport employee receiving transport allowance and daily allowance, then concept would be different. So can you tell me either we have gone through with the provision of daily allowance today or not? Visual is saying not yet. It is exempt under both regime. Vedant is saying, Sridhar is saying not. Galti is saying yes. So students, we have already gone through with the daily allowance provision today. Let me show you those thinking we have not covered yet. It was small provision. You can see over here, daily allowance. The provision is amount of allowance or use for official lower would be exempted. So that was the allowance which we have discussed under 6 specific allowances. So we have already discussed that. Clear? So if you receive as a transport employee of a transport company, if you receive transport allowance but no daily allowance, then provision says exemption. If you receive any other allowance with transport allowance, does not matter. But when daily allowance and transport allowance will come together, then things will change. So exemption would be 70% of allowance. Which allowance? Transport allowance, because we are not getting daily allowance. So whatever transport allowance you are getting, 70% of it or 10,000 rupees per month, whichever is lower, is going to be exempted if you are not receiving any daily allowance. For example, if the question say that employee of a transport company receiving transport allowance of suppose 13,000 per month. In that situation, 70% of the 13,000, 9,100, and second point is 10,000. Lower is going to be exempted. So 9,100 is going to be exempted out of 13,000. So taxable value would be 3,900 rupees if you are not getting any daily allowance. Understood? So this is the huge exemption, 70% of the allowance or 10,000 per month, whichever is lower is going to be taxed. Now suppose you are getting transport allowance and daily allowance both. Now provisions say if this is the situation, in that case, your transport allowance is going to be 100% taxable. And your daily allowance is going to be exempt as the provision we have gone through. Amount of allowance, those 6 allowances having the same provision. Second is used for official purpose. whichever is lower is going to be exempted. Clear? So kindly take the screenshot of this transport allowance concept. You can write it down. You can make your chart also, because that is important, that transport allowance full provisions are over here. Whether you are a transport employee, what would be the consequences? If you're not a transport employee, then what would be the treatment? It is all over this chart. Let's move on. So we have gone through with the transport allowance provision, children education allowance provision, hostel allowance provision, etc. Clear? Now, allowances prescribed for the purpose of section 1014, we have already discussed that topic. This is again for transport allowance. If you are a DEF, etc., then 3,200 rupees per month can be claimed under both regime. We have already discussed that point. Any assessee claim exemption in respect of allowance mentioned in serial number 7, 8, and 9 shall not be entitled to exemption in respect of the allowance and distributed area allowance at serial number 2. So the list which has been given above, if you are claiming 7, 8, and 9 exemption, then you cannot claim serial number 2 exemption. That is not much relevant for the examination, because that allowances exemptions depending upon the area wise, etc. So very difficult to learn. Main allowances we have discussed, like children education allowances, transport allowance to transport employee, hostel allowances, underground allowance, special area allowance. These 5 are important. Now, allowances which are fully exempt under optional tax regime. There were 3 allowances which is 100% exempt under optional tax regime. So if these allowances have been given in the question, so that is very, very easy for you to solve. You need not to do anything. You just need to write it down that are fully exempted. So there are no provision in these 3 allowances. You kindly go through. This is for your homework purpose. Allowance to Supreme Court, allowance from United Nations, sumptuary allowance. Kindly go through it. Allowances which are fully exempted. So this point we have already discussed in residential provision, when we were going through with the provision of incidence of tax, and there was deemed to arise concept. And this point also was in salary starting topic, that if you are a citizen of India working outside India on behalf of government, then all allowances and perquisites received outside India is going to be exempted. Only basic salary is going to be taxed. And this benefit under both regime also. So the component we have discussed in the starting of the salary topic was, we have to go through and understand the basic salary concept, advanced salary, arrear of salary. Then the allowances part was there. And the third category was perquisite. And the fourth category was compensation, like gratuity, pension, etc. So we have completed part A and part B. Now 2 parts left, C and D. And as in the starting of the class, I have told you, salary is a very difficult topic, very complicated, gigantic, of course it is. But till now, we have completed technically 2 components of salary. Okay. So is it still feeling complicated till now? Look, it could be lengthy. That you might think, my God, how much allowances are there? We have to go through with all the allowances provision. But if you'll see, do you find anything which is difficult individually? Like HRA was the most difficult allowance in my opinion. So even it was not difficult, because you just need to remember 3 points. The first one is HRA receipt. That would be given in question. Rent paid minus 10% of salary. So rent paid is also going to be given in question. Salary you need to find out. Take the 10% and then 40 and 50%. The complexity could be if they change the factor. So you might need to calculate twice or thrice in the examination. But again, the pattern would remain the same. And the other allowances we have gone through: children education allowance, special allowances, transport allowances. So part B is completely done. A and B part is done. Left with compensation and perquisite. So did it feel like that we have discussing something complicated till now? Not yet. In transport, Mac is asking, I can't understand how tax is 300, 3,009. It's not tax, it's taxable amount of allowance. 13,000 was the allowance received. Okay. So you need to take 70% of that. That was 9,100. And the second is fixed 10,000. So which is lower is exempted, Mac. 9,100 is exempted. And we need to find out the taxable. What is the formula to find out the taxable value? I told you universal rule. Received minus exempted. So received what? 13,000. Exempt is 9,100. So remaining 3,900 rupees. What is difficult in this? Maybe you are confused, but that is received minus exempted. Golty analyst saying, but salary can be jewelry. Sir, we have to work hard to get it. Yeah, you can say it. The course you opt, you are doing CA. So if it would have been easy, there would be no value of this course. It is difficult. Not all can go through it. Not only due to the material, the kind of study you have to go through, but there are more factor also because you need to sacrifice. You have to be constant for 3 or 4 years. So that's why when you join this course, you have to understand one thing, that you have to work hard for next 3 and 4 years. And after that, your life would be settled. So this 3-4 years demanding from you for your next 30 and 40 years of a good life. It's just 10% of your 30 and 40 years. This course is just demanding 10% of it. Rest 90% would be an amazing life you could have. So this is the best return you can have. Only input your 10% of time and you will get the 90% of marvelous time of your life. So this is the best return, I guess, best investment anyone can have. Sridhar is saying, not difficult, but complicated. Now, it is complicated till you did not practice some question. When I will give you some examples for today, and if you'll go through with it, you will revise the provision till now, you will find it out. It is not difficult yet. Now things are going to be little more complicated because in calculation of HRA, etc., the calculations part is easy. But in compensation, when we will go through pension, gratuity, leave encashment, there would be little more calculation is there. Fine. Sridhar is asking, sir, in children case, exempted by the chronology of more expensive to less expenses is correct. Yes, always select the highest children education allowance children's first, or hostel case, same case. So those are receiving highest allowance, always give your prior exemption to those children. So your answer would be always correct. Now moving on to compensation. Now compensation is something what you receive at the time of retirement, like pension, gratuity, leave encashment, etc., etc. So one by one, we are going through to find out the taxable value of those compensation. Now let me tell you one more thing. From the point of view of income tax, we are only concerned with one thing, the taxable amount and the exempted amount. That's it. Whether you are receiving pension or not, when somebody is receiving pension or not, why somebody or how much pension he will receive, that is none of our business. How much pension you should get, how much gratuity you are receiving, why you are receiving less, why you are receiving this much of gratuity, that is none of our concern. That would be governed by Gratuity Act, Pension Act, etc. We as a income tax student or as an income tax consultant only concerned with one thing. If you receive this much amount, how much is going to be taxed or exempt? That's it. Okay, so please focus on that thing. Do not think about the concept like this, why you are not receiving HRA, why somebody is receiving HRA, why somebody is not receiving pension. That is none of our concern. That's a different point of view. So we should focus on, if this amount has been given in the question, how much is going to be taxed or exempt. So meaning of pension, meaning of gratuity, meaning of leave encashment does not make a difference. We should know if the pension amount has been given in question, how do we need to tax or exempt it. even meaning has been given, and I will explain the meaning also in short, so that concept will also be clear in your mind. Concise Oxford Dictionary defines pension as a periodic payment made especially by government or a company to other employee to the employee in consideration of past services payable after his retirement. So if somebody is working with you for 20 years, 30 years, etc., then after retirement, he will not receive any salary. Then how he will run his house? How he will incur his expenditure? So government believe or government thinks that he must have saved his money during the life whenever he was under service. But still after service, we will take the responsibility to give him a certain amount, monthly certain amount or lump sum. So he can carry his life after the retirement when he is not receiving any salary. So this pension concept has been derived from that point of view. So generally government department etc. provide pension. Generally in private sector, there is no concept of pension is there. Again, we do not have any concern about it, whether why pension is not in private, why it is in government, why it is not now in government also. We are only focused on one thing. If you're receiving a pension, what should be the tax treatment? Clear? Universal rule for all kind of compensation. If received during service, then taxable for all employees. Generally, practically, I have not seen that somebody is receiving pension during service, somebody receiving gratuity during service. But if in the question it has been mentioned that somebody is receiving pension during service without retirement, then whether it's pension, gratuity, or any kind of compensation, that is going to be 100% taxable. If it is written in the question that you are receiving pension during service, that's a good news for you. You need not to do any calculation. You just need to tax it 100%. But let me tell you, my dear students, that would not be given in question because that would be very easy to solve. So 99.99% your pension compensation would be in the question at the time of retirement or after retirement. Okay. So now the taxability, how do we need to tax the pension? The provisions are here. Types of pension. The provisions say there would be two types of pension, uncommuted pension. Uncommuted pension means per month pension. Commute means lump sum. So which is not commute, which is not lump sum, which is periodical payment. That is called uncommuted pension. It's uncommuted. Fine. And it is taxable for all employees. Uncommuted pension refers to pension received periodically. It is fully taxable in the hands of both government and non-government employees. So treatment is same. So it would be very easy. If the question says you are getting 5,000 rupees per month pension, the taxability would be 60,000 rupees in a year. If it says you are receiving 5,000 rupees pension for 5 months, 25,000 rupees is taxable. So what do you think? Examiner is going to ask about this, or examiner will ask something in which you need to do some calculation, which is commuted pension. So commuted pension means that is the lump sum payment of pension what you receive. Commutation means interchange. Commuted pension means lump sum amount taken by commuting the whole or part of the pension. Many pensions convert their future right to receive pension into a lump sum amount received immediately. So what happens? Sometimes it happens that a person who is receiving pension can ask their employee, can ask their employer that I want to receive pension in lump sum. Generally, suppose someone is entitled to receive pension 5,000 per month. Clear? Now, suppose he say, I don't want to receive 5,000 rupees pension per month. I need the whole amount right now. Whatever my pension would be for next 10 years, 15 years, I want that 5,000 rupees in a lump sum value. So that is called commuted pension. And if the organization permit, again, we are not concerned about why employer will pay in commuted value, why he'll pay in lump sum. If the question says yes, employer paid it, we should know how to tax it. Okay. So the main concept is to calculate pension taxability under commuted pension case scenario. Let me show you how. So first compensation is pension. देखो भाई, if during service, this rule is applicable for all kind of. Still, I am writing it down. If during service, taxable for all. So we are discussing after service concept. So if pension has been received after service, so it says either it would be uncommuted. So if it is uncommuted, then 100% taxable for all employees, whether government or not. There is no differentiation under optional tax regime and default tax regime in case of compensation. As you have seen in allowances case, there was some different provision, but in case of compensation, same provision for everyone. So uncommuted pension, 100% taxable. Now, commuted pension. So if you receive commuted pension, there would be two scenarios. Either you are a government employee. In case of government employee, if you receive commuted pension, that is 100% exempted. And if you are other employee, then you have to do some calculation. The calculation says there would be two circumstances. Either employee also receive gratuity. So if you receive pension as well as you receive gratuity also, so there could be a situation where employee receive pension as well as gratuity and post pension. And the second case would be employee does not receive gratuity. That would be given in question, that he also received gratuity with pension or he is only receiving pension, no gratuity. So if he is also receive gratuity, then the exemption amount would be 1/3 into commuted value of whole pension. You have to find out the commuted value of whole pension. The 1/3 of that is going to be exempted. So what is going to be taxed? We know the taxable value, received minus exempt, universal rule. If it does not receive gratuity, then 1/2 in place of 1/3. The exemption would be 1/2 into commuted value of whole pension. So I have written it down in short, same thing. Just the percentage of exemption would be 1/2. That means 50% exempted. In this case, 33.33% would be exempted. Now, how to find out the commuted value of pension? We have made the formula for this also. Commuted pension received divided by percentage of commuted pension received that would be given in question, multiplied by 100. So with the help of this formula, you can find out the commuted value of whole pension. With the help of this formula, you will find it out the commuted value of whole pension. You will put this figure over here, and then by 1/3 or either by 1/2, you will get the exempted amount. And after that, the taxable value you can easily find out. Let me show you how. One simple example. Suppose the question says Mr. A retires on 1st January 2026 and 5,000 or suppose 10,000 per month pension. So from 1st January, he was receiving 10,000 rupees per month pension. On 1st March 2026, Mr. A asked for commuted value of his pension. So Mr. A has asked to his employer that I want commuted value from this pension amount. So वैसे तो he was entitled to for 10,000 rupees per month pension for 10 years or 20 years, whatever it is. But after 2 months, on 1st March, Mr. A wants some amount in lump sum. So he asked his employer that I want some amount in lump sum. So employer say okay, and employer provide him 40% commuted value. So employer say okay, 40% of this per month value, whatever is the 40%, that means 4,000 rupees. So that 4,000, that means 40% of the commuted value of pension we will give you in lump sum. Balance you will receive in monthly. So 40% commuted value of pension. Mr. A receive rupees, suppose 15 lakh. So now you need to calculate the taxable value of pension. So you can see in this example, we have uncommuted pension also and commuted provision also. So we have to solve both taxability in this example. This is the kind of example if in case of pension, the question has been framed in the exam, that a question would be like this. This is the most difficult question of a pension that could be drafted. So now we have to see whatever he will receive in January. If I'll ask you how much amount of pension he received in January, can you tell me how much pension he must have been received in January 2026? 10,000, absolutely correct, because at that time he was ready to receive uncommuted pension, 10,000. And because that is uncommuted, that is going to be taxed. There is no exemption in case of uncommuted pension. Okay. Now tell me how much pension he must have been received in February 2026. We have to calculate till 31st of March because our financial year ends in 31st of March. So 3 months calculation need to be done. Again 10,000, very smart students, very good. Now if I'll ask you in March 2026, how much per month pension, uncommuted pension, he must have been received? Think about it before giving the answer. Visual gave the answer, very good. 6,000. Anyone else? Think about it. Whatever amount or what amount is going to be received in March as a per month pension. Akilja is saying 6,000. Vishaka is saying 6,000. Anyone else? And it's very easy. It's pure mathematics. Nothing is technical as per income tax in this case. Because the employee asked that I want 40% of my 10,000 as lump sum. So obviously only 60% left out of this 10,000, what he was receiving full amount in January and February. If suppose upon yourself, just apply this concept upon yourself. You received 10,000 in January, 10,000 in February. And in March, you asked your employer that I want 40% of this 10,000 in lump sum. And he say, okay, we will pay you 40% of this 10,000 lump sum and remaining will be your per month payment now. So now the remaining, that means always the remaining value you will receive in future, 6,000 rupees in March. And in next year also, it would be 6,000 per month, 6,000 per month, 6,000 per month. So technically, if you say the uncommuted value of pension is now 26,000 total till March. This is going to be taxed. Clear? But now we will solve the commuted value of pension. if question is silent, that means no gratuity received. So that means the exemption for commuted value of pension would be 1/2 into commuted value of whole pension. Clear? And now we have to find this, the commuted value of whole pension. So I have already explained you the formula. Can you apply this formula as I have given you above and find out for me the commuted value of whole pension? What should have been the commuted value of whole pension? The commuted value of whole pension would be commuted pension received upon the percentage whatever you have received into 100. So what would be the commuted value of whole pension? I'm waiting for your answers. CMWP, what is 30,000? Vishakha is saying 37,50,000. Anyone else? Gayatri is saying 37,50,000. Anyone else? Visual is saying 37,50,000. Aishal is saying 37,50,000. Absolutely right. So, as smart students, you have given the correct answer. If we apply this provision, so if I'll show you how we will apply this, 15 lakh divided by 40 into 100. So you will get 37 lakh 50,000. Is it difficult? It is just mathematics what we are doing. Nothing special technical thing. So if 37 lakh 50,000 is the full value, then how much is going to be exempted now? 18 lakh 75,000. Clear? This is exempted gratuity. Now, a simple question for all of you. Can you tell me the taxable commuted value of pension? Uncommuted taxable pension we have already calculated. Can you tell me the taxable commuted value of pension? How much is going to be taxable value? Let me see who is going to answer that question. Gabbar Kumar Thakur is saying nil. Okay. Anyone else? Till that time, let me see what should be your homework for questions. Haji. Anyone else? Vedant is saying nil. Okay. Sridhar is saying nil. Anjum is saying nil. Very good. Very smart. I was not expecting that. I was thinking that you are going to give the wrong answer. Correct. The taxable calculation formula is always received minus exempt. How much commuted value he received? He received 15 lakh rupees. And the exemption is 18 lakh 75,000 rupees. Due to exemption, the answer cannot be negative. So if the exemption is more than the amount you received, that means we will restrict the exemption up to 15 lakh only. You can have the exemption of 18 lakh 75, but we should restrict it up to 15 lakh. So that would be nil. The taxable pension would be only this 26,000. The commuted value of pension would be 0 in this example. Vedant is asking, sir, how to calculate commuted value of pension? Vedant, I have just shown how to calculate the commuted value of whole pension. This is the formula. We applied it. Just a simple mathematical question. Now, suppose in this above example, if I say he received gratuity also, then exemption would be 1/3 into 37 lakh 50,000. Everything else would be remain the same. but the exemption would be 1/3. So that means the exemption would be 12,50,000. Clear? And in this example, if we calculate taxable value of commuted pension, that would be 15 lakh minus 12 lakh 50,000. Then 2,50,000 would be the taxable value of pension if this question says that he received gratuity also. Understood? So this could be the difficult question from pension provisions for your examination. There would be some per month pension would be there, and for some month it would be full taxable, and then the balancing part is going to be taxed. And then you need to solve the commuted value pension provision. Okay. Abhi, now it's homework time, so please note it down. The question you need to try for our next class on Tuesday, so you have a lot of time to revise the provision. Please note down the homework part. Okay, so page number 3.17. There are some examples. You can go through it. Just to tell you what is the basic salary, very simple. Okay, so you need to try illustration number 1. That is for HRA exemption. Then illustration number 2, allowances provisions. Then illustration number 3, which is for pension provision. Abhi, you can do this from illustration part. Now let me tell you from test knowledge questions. Question number 1, test your knowledge. Question number 1, that is for HRA. And you can see in this question 3 or 4 times you need to calculate the HRA. That's it. This is your homework for the purpose of salary provisions. If you have any query, you can ask students. So in compensation, there are 5 compensation, which is like the pension, gratuity, leave encashment, retrenchment, and VRS. So out of these 5, we have completed the pension provision. So gratuity, leave encashment, VRS, and retrenchment. That is what we are going to discuss in the next class. Visual saying story time. So who else want to listen a story? Only visual want to listen a story, or anyone else also interested to listen a story? Let me see. Sridhar wants to ask something. Sridhar want to ask something? Okay, Gaurav also, Vedant also. He wants to listen the story, Sridhar. That's why he raised his hand. Vishakha, Mehak also. Okay, so story time, students. And एक गांव था, एक विलेज था, वहां पर एक किसान था, और उस किसान को एक एम्प्लॉय की रिक्वायरमेंट थी जो उसके कैटल्स की, जो उसके एग्रीकल्चर प्रोड्यूस है उसकी देखभाल कर सके। तो उसने काफी लोगों से बात करी और फिर उसे एक पर्सन मिला और उसने उसका इंटरव्यू लिया। उससे पूछा क्या तुम मेरे यहाँ काम करने को तैयार हो? तो उस पर्सन ने कहा हाँ, मैं आपके यहाँ सारा काम का ध्यान रखूंगा, कैटल्स फूड, आपका एग्रीकल्चर प्रोड्यूस, आपका खेत, फार्मिंग एटसेट्रा। तो उस किसान ने उसे अपॉइंट कर लिया अपने यहाँ पर फॉर अ सर्टेन फीस। एंड कुछ टाइम बाद क्या हुआ कि जो किसान था, उसके जो नेबर्स थे, जो उसके दोस्त थे उस गांव के, तो जो उसका एम्प्लॉय था, वो सब उससे जब मिलते थे नेबर्स से, तो नेबर से बात करा, तो नेबर्स ने उसे बताया कि तुम्हारा एम्प्लॉय हमसे ये कहता है कि जब भी बहुत बारिश होती है, आंधी होती है, हरिकेन आता है, टाइफून आता है, तो मैं तो आराम से सो जाता हूँ। किसान को बड़ा ऑकवर्ड लगा कि उस टाइम तो इसको मेरे कैटल्स फूड की, एग्रीकल्चर प्रोड्यूस की चिंता करनी चाहिए। अरे सबको बोलता है जाकर के आंधी बारिश तूफान में मैं सो जाता हूँ आराम से। तो ये तो बहुत डेंजरस बात है, अगर ये सोएगा तो फिर कौन ध्यान रखेगा? पर उस किसान ने कुछ नहीं कहा, लेकिन वो सोचता रहता था कि अगर सच में ये सच बात है तो ये तो मेरे लिए बहुत डेंजरस है। तो एक रात को ऐसा ही हुआ, एक रात को बहुत तेज आंधी तूफान एटसेट्रा आया और किसान के दिमाग में ये आया कि कहीं ऐसा तो नहीं कि वो एम्प्लॉय मेरा सो रहा हो। तो वो भागा भागा उसको देखने गया जहां पर उसका रेजिडेंस बनाया था उसने, उसका स्टोर हाउस जहां पर वो सोता था। तो वो देखने गया कि सो रहा है क्या, एंड जैसे ही वहां पर वो पहुंचा तो उसने देखा कि सच में ये तो सो रहा है। तो जो उसका एम्प्लॉय था वो आराम से सो रहा था। किसान ने उसे बहुत जगाने की कोशिश करी, तो उसने कहा नहीं मैं नहीं जागूंगा, मैं तो आराम से सोऊंगा, कल सुबह देखेंगे। तो किसान को बहुत गुस्सा आया, उसने कहा अरे इससे लड़ने से कोई फायदा नहीं, मैं अपना एग्रीकल्चर प्रोड्यूस कैटल्स फूड बचा लेता हूँ, वरना सुबह इसको देखूंगा क्या करना है। तो वो भागा भागा अपने एग्रीकल्चरल लैंड पर गया, वहां का जो स्टोर हाउस था जहाँ सारा एग्रीकल्चर प्रोड्यूस रखा था। तो उसने देखा वो सारा एग्रीकल्चर प्रोड्यूस स्टोर हाउस के अंदर है, सारा कवर्ड है प्रॉपर। ना रेन की कोई टेंशन है, ना हरिकेन की कोई टेंशन है, सब कुछ प्रॉपर टाई अप करके सॉर्ट आउट करके बंद करके इजीली और सेफली रखा हुआ है। उसको लगा अच्छा ये तो रखा है, चलो मैं अपने कैटल्स और कैटल्स फूड को देख कर आऊं। उसने देखा तो जो उसके कैटल्स थे वो सब भी शेड के अंदर थे, उनका प्रॉपर फूड पानी वगैरह सब रखा हुआ था, एंड वो भी सब सेफ थे। और बाकी जगह उसने चेक किया, उसने नोटिस करा कि सब कुछ प्रॉपर रखा हुआ है। अब जब सुबह हुई तो किसान ने उसको बुलाया अपने एम्प्लॉइज को, उसे काफी अच्छा लगा कि सब कुछ सेफ था। उसने कहा अरे कल इतनी बारिश थी और तुम सबको बोलते रहते हो कि मैं तो सोता हूँ बारिश में, ये तो गलत है। उसने कहा नहीं, आपने पूरी बात नहीं समझी। मैं उस वक्त मेहनत करता हूं जब मेहनत करनी चाहिए, एंड इफ आई नो कि आई एम प्रिपेयर्ड, देन मुझे फिर टेंशन की जरूरत क्या है। तो मैंने सब कुछ अरेंज करके रखा हुआ है, दैट इज माई प्लानिंग, दैट इज माई प्रिपरेशन विच गिव मी दैट कॉन्फिडेंस के आई कैन स्लीप व्हेन इवन द सिचुएशंस आर वर्स्ट। सो एग्जैक्टली सेम हमें भी यही करना है एज ए स्टूडेंट्स। एग्जामिनेशन वुड बी काइंड ऑफ हरिकेन रेन फॉर ऑल ऑफ यू। तो उस वक्त टेंशन नहीं लेनी, उस वक्त हमें रिलैक्स होना चाहिए, अपने ऊपर कॉन्फिडेंस होना चाहिए। आई हैव सीन सम स्टूडेंट दोज नॉट स्लीपिंग फॉर द एग्जामिनेशन टाइम, like they are sleeping for just 2 or 3 or 4 hours in examination duration, and I personally believe that will affect our brain. We won't be able to write it down properly if our brain is tired. And ऐसा क्यों जरूरत है? When you have enough time right now, you can give 1 more hour 2 more hour to your studies right now, so preparation would be good. तो अगर आपकी तैयारी अच्छी हो जाएगी अभी उस एम्प्लॉय की तरह, अगर आपने सब कुछ पहले ही मैनेज कर लिया, रिवीजन कर लिया है, कोर्स कंप्लीट कर लिया, सारे क्वेश्चन ट्राई कर लिए, आरटीपी एमटीपी सब कुछ जो इंस्टीट्यूट आपको दे रहा है, मॉक टेस्ट वगैरह, प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चन सब कर लिए, तो ऐसा नहीं मैं कह रहा हूं कि एग्जाम में जाकर सो जाओ, नहीं, बट वो टेंशन, वो पढ़ाई का टाइम अभी है, वो तब की टेंशन नहीं है। एग्जाम से 15 दिन पहले आपसे सोचते हो कि मैं सब कर लूं, नो, अभी अपना टाइम थोड़ा सा गेयर अप करो, थोड़ा एक्स्ट्रा टाइम दो, एंड बेटर प्रिपरेशन वुड ऑलवेज गिव यू अ कॉन्फिडेंस। तो फिर जो पेरेंट्स है ना, जो आपके उस किसान की तरह, उन्हें टेंशन नहीं होगी कि बच्चा सो रहा है, उन्हें भी पता होगा कि मेरे बच्चे ने तैयारी कर ली। लेट मी टेल यू, व्हेन मेरे एग्जाम जब होते थे ना, हर सब्जेक्ट का मैंने कम से कम 3 और 4 टाइम्स रिवीजन करके रखा हुआ था। 3 और 4 टाइम। आई वॉज नॉट अ वेरी गुड स्टूडेंट, लेट मी टेल यू, आई वॉज नॉट इंटेलिजेंट। जो ये लोग सोचते हैं कि सीए सिर्फ इंटेलिजेंट्स के लिए ना, आई कैन एश्योर, यू कैन सी माई मार्कशीट्स एंड आई कैन प्रूव यू दिस कोर्स इज नॉट फॉर इंटेलिजेंट स्टूडेंट, दिस इज फॉर हार्ड वर्कर। 10th में आई स्कोर्ड सेकंड डिवीजन, 59 पॉइंट सम परसेंटेज आई स्कोर्ड इन 10th, सो आई वॉज नॉट अ वेरी बैड स्टूडेंट। बट वेन आई ज्वाइन दिस कोर्स आई रियलाइज कि यार यहाँ पर बिना हार्डवर्क के काम नहीं चलेगा, एंड आई सेक्रीफाइस एवरीथिंग, जस्ट डिसिप्लिन। एंड विद दैट ना, मुझे कभी एग्जाम में कोई नर्वसनेस नहीं हुई, कभी भी नहीं हुई। आई गिव एग्जामिनेशन, एंड लेट मी टेल यू, आफ्टर एग्जामिनेशन व्हेन आई कम आउट ऑफ द एग्जामिनेशन हॉल, आफ्टर गिविंग माई पेपर्स ऑफ ग्रुप 1 ग्रुप 2, आई ऑलवेज यूज टू टेल माई फ्रेंड्स मेरा ये वाला ग्रुप हो गया। एग्जाम के बाद आई टोल्ड देम मेरा ये वाला ग्रुप हो गया, आई एम प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर नेक्स्ट ग्रुप। So that is not, I am overconfident. I know what was my preparation. And वो करने के जाओगे, नर्वस हो जाओगे, तो सारी प्रिपरेशन अभी की जो भी है ना, वो सब वेस्ट हो जाती है। सो बी कॉन्फिडेंट। सो पढ़ लीजिए। विजुअल कह रहे हैं सर, माय फादर इज अ सीए एंड ही टोल्ड मी दैट ड्यूरिंग एग्जाम ही यूज्ड टू स्लीप अ लॉट बिकॉज ड्यूरिंग द ईयर ही यूज्ड टू डू अ लॉट ऑफ हार्ड वर्क। एग्जैक्टली, योर ब्रेन नीड्स patience, your brain needs rest during examination. It's kind of a machine. It will use more than what it require. It would be overloaded, it would not work properly, even जितना भी पढ़ा है ना वो सब वेस्ट हो जाएगा। So proper rest is also required, 5-6 hour rest is required, and for that purpose अभी मेहनत कर लो, that would be good. Sridhar asking illustration 4 is a homework. Let me see. I guess Sridhar, I've written down. No, only 1, 2, 3 is the homework. Students, any query you can ask, and if there is no more query, we can close the session. And that is not the story, that is the reality of your student life, your journey. Okay. Chalo. Visual, thank you. Thank you, Visual. You're welcome. Anyone else want to ask anything? Ashok sir, there is no query, so we can close the session. Yes, yes, over. Thank you, sir. Good day.